Tonight, with the BC Supreme Court ruling against a potential ban on public drug use, we get local reaction and look at impacts to our community. Plus, the recent dry weather so far this winter season could have negative impacts on the drought conditions plaguing BC once we hit the summer. And with the lack of snow continuing, we look at how the Caledonia Nordic Ski Club is prepping for the Biathlon World Championships and Nordic World Cup Finals. Good evening, I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story tonight, more violence on the streets of Prince George to begin the year, as a shooting occurred earlier this morning on the 2700 block of Spruce Street. At around 4:45 a.m., Prince George RCMP attended a room at a commercial dwelling for reports of shots fired and found one woman with non-life-threatening injuries. Several other people who were also in the room avoided injury, and while the injured woman was taken to hospital for treatment. The investigation is quite early in the process, but RCMP say it believes this was a targeted shooting with no increased risk to the general public, and several arrests have already been made.
Police officers viewed video surveillance and were able to identify several suspects and a suspect vehicle from the footage. Within an hour, Prince George RCMP had identified the suspects and made several arrests. Multiple people were arrested this morning and are remaining in custody as the investigation unfolds.
RCMP's continued investigation into a pedestrian fatality on Chief Lake Road has led to a new potential suspect. After receiving and reviewing dash cam footage, RCMP are now looking for a mid-2000s Ford F-150 that is reportedly light in color. The fatality resulted in a 76-year-old man dying after being hit on Chief Lake Road near Pilot Mountain Road, and the vehicle responsible, believed to be the Ford F-150, fled the scene. The Ford is also reported to have front-end damage. If you have any information about this vehicle or the incident, please contact the RCMP. Moving now to a controversial decision out of the BC Supreme Court last week with respect to legislation introduced last year to curb public drug use. For one BC politician, the decision is hypocritical. Cheryl Jan reports.
It was in early October, under public pressure, that government introduced Bill 34.
Honourable Speaker, the toxic drug crisis is continuing to impact our province. It is hurting people and communities, and this government remains committed to the goals of decriminalisation, which are to save lives and connect people to the care that they need. But the province also recognises that British Columbians want to feel safe.
The legislation prohibited drug use in places like bus shelters and public entrances. Bill 34 was set to take effect January 1st, but a recent challenge from the Harm Reduction Nurses Association was upheld by the BC Supreme Court, with Justice Christopher Hinkson ruling irreparable harm will be caused if this act comes into force. But Conservative Party leader John Rustad suggests the ruling is hypocritical.
The judge has missed the point of what was going on. And when you think about our society in general, I just think it's wrong that we are allowing and endorsing and supporting open drug use in public. You're not allowed to drink a beer in public. Why would you be allowed to do open drugs, particularly hard drugs, in public?
Public safety critic Mike Morris suggests it was hastily crafted legislation in the first place, but there may be another reason behind the failed defense.
A very strong argument presented by the plaintiffs in this. But a very mediocre response from government, and it didn't really address a lot of the things that the plaintiff had presented. So I don't know if their heart wasn't in it, or whether government didn't really, they were pressured into putting this legislation forward in the first place.
Instead, Rustad is calling for government to act upon something called the non-withstanding clause.
So our Constitution has a provision where the provinces are able to overrule the courts. Now, I have great respect for the courts. I have great respect for the judges. I do not want to see a government be in the situation where they are judge of all things. However, where you get cases like this, where you get cases where it's clear there is harm being done to the public, people are not feeling safe walking down streets. Children are being exposed to this open drug scene, these open drug dens that we're seeing out in the province. When you see a situation like that, I do not believe the court should have the ultimate say.
The ruling extends to the end of March, at which time government will have to decide next steps. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
To the airs we go now. Canada's largest airline has been ranked last for on-time flights in North America. Air Canada landed just 63% of its flights on time last year, the worst among the continent's 10 largest airlines. The score was 5% below the airlines in second and third place, both low-cost carriers in the United States. It's been a weird winter weather-wise in Prince George, to say the least, with any snow that's fallen quickly disappearing due to above-normal temperatures. And what's behind this abnormal winter, and what's going to happen moving forward? Adam Burles has more.
A winter for the record books. Prince George has broken a number of temperature records in the last few days, with it feeling more like fall or spring than winter. Any snow that has fallen has quickly disappeared, and there are a couple of reasons why we have been experiencing a mild winter so far.
It's really two phenomena that are sort of working in conjunction with each other, if you want to put it that way. One is the very strong El Nino that's occurring out in the Pacific Ocean at this point in time. And the second is we've had a really dominant upper ridge of high pressure over Western Canada through much of the fall and early portion of the winter.
Much of this warm air is situated over the interior of BC, including the north as well.
What that's really done is brought a lot of warm air ahead of those frontal systems up over the south coast of British Columbia and the southern interior, and that warm air continues to move northwards as those systems track up the coast towards the Alaska Panhandle.
This dry and warm start to winter is already posing challenges.
We have no snowpack out there. We need that snowpack as we move through the winter to alleviate some of the drought concerns we had going into the fall and winter from last year. So we're really needing snowpack at this point in time to really help us get into a better situation with possible forest fires in the spring and summer.
El Nino conditions will remain dominant throughout the winter, but there will be a shift in the forecast.
What's happening is that upper ridge of high pressure is shifting further to the west, so migrating a bit more westward, which is allowing some cooler, more seasonal-like air to descend from the Yukon and the Northwest Territories over the interior. So it's likely we're going to see a better chance of seeing precipitation, but it's not looking like we're going to see a whole significant amounts of precipitation at this point in time.
Environment Canada is forecasting snow for the rest of this week and cooler temperatures starting on Friday. Adam Burles, CKPG News.
And while many people might be enjoying the lack of snow, ski hills are surely hoping for a few centimeters of the white stuff. Caitlin Poversnick reports now on how the Caledonia Nordic Ski Club is prepping for the trials for the Biathlon World Championships and Nordic World Cup finals, which are just a couple of months away.
It's kind of hard to ski and do outdoor sports when there's no snow on the ground, and with the Biathlon World Championships and Nordic World Cup finals coming to town in about 2 months, it'll be a necessity to have those snowflakes on the hills.
By the time March hits, of course, we hope to have a lot more snow than we have now. With regards to kind of how we prepare, it actually all starts right from the fall.
Pedersen says that the maintenance of the trails, like mowing the grass, is a big factor prior to snowfall.
Groom the trails in the fall, and there we can operate with as little as probably about 15 centimeters. And so that we've kept that practice to kind of work with as little snow as possible.
Now, what if the 15 centimeters of snow doesn't come? Don't worry, the ski club has some backup.
For March, we have 31 hydrants spread out across the stadium areas, all the competition trails, and we have 9 snow guns that we move around to make snow.
The snow guns use about 90 gallons of water a minute to produce those fluffy flakes, but the temperature outside has to be just right.
Generally need temperatures between -5 to -10, and that produces really great snow.
Even though Prince George has yet to have the flurries that stick around, there's no panic yet.
We're well prepared. We have one of the largest snowmaking systems at a Nordic center in Canada. And so the snowmaking is certainly our mitigation strategy for hosting these big world events, because snow is always kind of the variable factor when it comes to what Mother Nature provides.
The championships start March 5th and run until the 17th. Caitlin Poversnick, CKPG News.
The 23rd annual Polar Bear Dip set a new record for attendance. This year saw 216 dippers take the plunge into freezing water, which obliterated the previous record of just 115. The dip raises funds for the Nest Lake Bible Camps efforts to bring kids to camp who may not be able to afford it. And this year it raised close to $28,000. How about that? Bringing the total amount raised to around $220,000 since the inaugural dip. The huge turnout came as a pleasant surprise to the camp, and it believes the warm weather played a big role in getting people out and about, along with the fact that it's become a New Year's tradition for many as well. The camp is excited to bring the dip back next year and hopefully continue to help kids experience summer camp.
We don't think that camp should just be for people who can afford it. That seems silly. So yeah, this fundraiser is super dear to my heart because I think it's really special that anyone can access that fund, and if their kids want to come to camp, they can. I was thinking we might get like 90 people. So when the gym just kept filling up, and it wasn't even 1:30, which was the time we were starting to check people in, yeah, I knew that it was going to be a big year, and it was just so exciting to see the community come out and just support the fundraiser itself and bring in the new year. And yeah, it was really special.
The Meals on Wheels program has been in place for years, but recently was facing some challenges in being able to fund the program in order to keep meals affordable for those seniors who access it. But the program got a recent benefactor in CN. Here's coordinator Nicole Curry with more.
Such a relief for us. Christmas did come early, and we are so excited that with the thanks that we want to give to CN Rail and all their staff and the family over there. Basically, they're able to help so many seniors with this, and with their help, we can keep the meals affordable for our seniors, which is what we wanted. We wanted to be able to keep them under $10, and with their help, now we can do that. With this grant, we are mainly using it to keep food cost low because the cost of food is going up every day. So we're going to focus this particular grant to keeping the meals just affordable for seniors. Will it affect our expansion? As you guys know, I come to the public a lot asking for help when we need it, and when it comes time to expand further, we'll probably be coming back to the public asking for some help because we can't do it without them. And this program is very heavily dependent on the donors and the people in this community.
The Salvation Army just finished their annual kettlebell campaign, and Roy Law, Community's Ministry Director, says it was a successful year. The campaign ran from November 13th all the way to Christmas Eve, and it does take a while to get the final numbers, but the goal the Salvation Army had set was $180,000, and from what they've gathered so far, they're sitting around $170,000, which Law says is extremely generous of the community of Prince George. The main reason the kettlebell campaign can happen is because of Prince George and those who volunteer their time.
We definitely have lots of businesses and organizations and schools and everything in the community, the community functions and organizations that will volunteer at that time of the year, come out for that. It's an easy application-wise. You get online and they just get to schedule themselves in and show up at their plot. And without it means, yeah, that particular location doesn't have someone standing at it. That means it's not operating. And if it's not operating, obviously we aren't raising funds for the needs that we need in here to give to our community.
It's estimated over 1,000 Canadians gets infected with HIV each year, with the disease spreading through bodily fluids. Sam Bennison has more on this week's To Your Health.
And now To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
HIV continues to spread across Canada, with over 9,500 British Columbians living with the disease. Thankfully, with the help of new medication, we can not only prevent HIV, but stop it at its source.
PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV. That's medication that's sort of provided to people that may or may not be engaging in sort of like high-risk HIV exposure activities. So this might prevent an infection before it occurs by them having the antiretrovirals in their system before being exposed to the virus.
While HIV can spread through sexual contact, it also spreads through blood and has become a larger issue for people injecting drugs.
If you are using drugs, you really need to use new equipment for your drug use regularly, because like according to the research we have for now, it says like 20% of Canadians, they don't really know whether they have HIV or not.
When it comes to being intimate, practicing safe sex is extremely important for anyone, including those living with HIV. Nowadays, it is possible for people living with HIV to not spread it if it's being properly managed.
I would definitely say bring up with any potential future partners, say like, I do have HIV, but maybe my viral load is undetectable, or say your partner is on PrEP, then they would, potentially be able to get exposed to the HIV retrovirus and still not contract it, right?
I think it's really important to get tested regularly, and HIV is not anymore a death sentence. So if you got to know, like if you have HIV, then go and meet your family doctor or go for a walk-in clinic and meet your nursing practitioner or doctor and get the proper treatment, proper HIV treatment, so that will help you to protect yourself as well as your community and family.
Positive Living North provides testing for HIV and HCV through the Fire Pit Cultural Center. Sam Benison, CKPG News.
To Your Health. Brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is currently sitting at $1.44.9 a liter at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Quesnel at $1.38.9 per liter. Alberta currently has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.21.1 a liter. BC, meanwhile, has an average price of $1.60.2 per liter.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
The Prince George Cougars have been busy on the trade market of late, and they kicked off the new year with yet another new addition. In exchange for Tyson Buchkowski and a 4th-round draft pick next year and a conditional 3rd-rounder in 2027, the Cougars acquired forward Borja Vallis from the Regina Pats. The 19-year-old Vallis brings 147 games of WHL experience and is expected to bring even more offense to the WHL's best team. Vallis has 33 points in 35 games this season, and Cougars head coach Mark Lamb says his offensive prowess, along with his experience and his size, makes him a great fit for the Cats. Vallis is expected to hit the ice with the Cougars for the remainder of the team's road trip, which starts with a game tomorrow against the Wenatchee Wild. The TSX is down 86 points to close at 20,872. The Dow Jones is up 25 points to close at 37,715. And CN Rail went up 63 cents to close at $167.18.
Cooling off and clouding over this week in the Prince George area, and with that cloud cover, we have a pretty strong chance of flurries lingering there. That's kind of the case throughout most areas of the province, at least further inland. Coastal areas, of course, still seeing some cloud cover and more wet conditions. Here's our futurecast. Over the next 48 hours, we have some precipitation moving in from BC's coastal areas. It should make landfall and should hit BC's interior by Thursday. So all throughout Thursday, very strong chances of some wet flurries throughout the Prince George area. That is expected to continue into Friday morning as well. A lot of areas of the interior are expecting to see some form of precipitation, either showers or wet flurries as the system hits. Highs tomorrow across BC. Terrace with a high of +2. Prince Rupert looking at a high of about 9 degrees. Prince George has a high of about 0 for tomorrow, sitting right on that freezing mark. Fort St. John starting to really cool off at around -7 for tomorrow's high. Kamloops still relatively warm with a high of about 6 degrees. Vancouver at about 10 for tomorrow. Across the rest of the broadcast region, Burns Lake tomorrow looking at a high of around -3. Again, a lot of areas starting to see a bit of a cooling trend as we get into the second half of the week. Fort St. James at around -2. PG, as mentioned, we have a high of around 0. Quesnel a little bit warmer at around 3 degrees for tomorrow. Across the rest of the country tomorrow, Whitehorse with a high of -10. Yellowknife, of course, a little bit cooler at around -25. Edmonton with a high of -3. Regina even cooler at around -8. Winnipeg -9. Toronto still above freezing, but is expecting some wet flurries in the forecast. Very similar for Montreal as well. St. John's and Halifax actually pretty mild for this time of year, seeing a mix of sun and cloud and highs right around 2-3 degrees. Looking ahead, that chance of flurries really expected to not go away. It's basically coming in and out all throughout the week. So most areas having that lingering chance of flurries. It will strengthen off and on as we get into our weekend and the latter half of the week. Here's our extended forecast. So tonight in the Burns Lake area, looking pretty cloudy, getting down to around -6. Tomorrow's high, a little bit cooler, of course, right around -3, expecting a high chance of some morning flurries. That will continue throughout the afternoon tomorrow, getting down to around -8 in the evening. Cloud cover continuing throughout Thursday, getting only up to a high of around -1 for Thursday's daytime high, cooling down even more for Friday in the Burns Lake area. Mackenzie as well, also cooling off this week, seeing some cloud cover for tomorrow, a high of around -2 overnight, pretty stable. Thursday, though, a chance of some morning snowfall. A couple centimeters is expected, a high of around +2, cooling down again for Friday, but that chance of flurries, again, as mentioned, still hanging in there pretty strong. Wednesday in the McBride area, looking pretty cloudy, getting up to around +1, dipping down to -5 overnight. Thursday, though, a good chance of some wet flurries, some snowfall in the forecast. That is expected to continue throughout Friday and Saturday as well, and those temperatures expected to continue climbing downward. Quesnel area also looking pretty overcast heading into this evening, getting down to around -3, getting up to +3 tomorrow, cooling off overnight though, but a chance of some morning snow for Thursday, and that will continue off and on throughout Friday and Saturday as well. And in the Prince George area, we have a mix of sun and cloud for tomorrow, more so on the cloudy side, but we do have a chance of some morning flurries. Now tomorrow we're looking at a high of around 0 degrees, pretty similar conditions for Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
Jared Langdon had a good weekend for the Prince George Spruce Kings, and it just so happens we have a feature tonight on number 2022. On number 22, Caitlin Poversnick brings us more.
The youngest Spruce Kings player, Jared Langdon, is settling in well after being with the team for the first half of the 2023-24 season. Coming from the Wellington Dukes of the Ontario Junior Hockey League, Langdon says there are notable differences as he continues to get used to not only the pace of play in the BCHL, but the travel as well.
Travel is definitely one thing that's quite different. You know, last year in the OJHL was pretty much 2.5-hour drives, the longest we had to do, no overnight trips or anything. So getting used to the hotels and the meals out and all that is definitely a big change for me, probably the biggest thing. And just being so far away from home for my first year, it was definitely an adjustment.
The 5'11" center, unlike many hockey players, didn't actually enjoy the sport when he first started playing.
My family's a hockey family. My grandparents all played, just throughout the whole, pretty much all the generations, they all played. My dad played. I was born originally in Newfoundland and moved to Kingston, Ontario when I was really little. My parents got me on the ice since I've been 2 or 3. So initially I didn't like it. I think I cried a lot and kind of complained, but I'm really glad now that they started me at that young age.
Prince George is happy that Langdon continued to play hockey as well as he continues to grow into a key player for the Kings, even at the ripe age of 17.
This league is definitely not a young one. You know, I see the lineups of all the teams and stuff. There's not a lot of 07s, 06s, so you know, it's a blessing to be able to be here and play hockey. And I think I can really see it in myself where my habits, my details, just kind of my knowledge of the game has grown so much.
Langdon claims he's not a superstitious athlete, not even a little stitious, but he does have his own pregame rituals.
I have a very extensive pregame routine. No, I'm not really into superstitions or anything. I don't have any of those, but I will have an extensive stretching routine. Like I'll do my stretching, my own personal warm-up, my activation, then we'll have team warm-up, and you know, I'll come to the stands and you know, do my prayer or whatever, and it's kind of like that, just like getting my mind and focus and visualization and my body prepared to play.
The 06-born player is committed to Clarkson University. Caitlin Poversnick, CKPG News.
All right, folks, that's all for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, your last look this evening is a lovely shot of the Fraser River. Have yourselves a great night. We will see you tomorrow, and Happy New Year.